Now, before I start the video, I have a serious question. After 3 years, do you guys think that the PS5 is better than Xbox Series X? And this is a question that really had me thinking because the PS5 has significantly improved in the span of 3 years. The gaming exclusives got much better. Sony and third-party companies have been releasing some great customizations with the console and controller, and the PlayStation gaming community has been growing on a daily basis. And with the Xbox Series X, I can pretty much say the same thing. They also have some really great customizations. They have really big exclusives that are expected to be really good. And for the past 3 years, I've had a lot of great moments and experiences with it. And I know that there are a lot of you guys deciding whether or not you should buy the PS5 or the Xbox Series X. So hopefully this video can give you some good insight on which console is right for you. Now, starting with the design of both consoles, I wanted to see how well they've held up over the past 3 years. And starting with the PS5, it's definitely the one that stands out much more with it having a very futuristic yet stylish look. But when it comes to practicality, it can be a bit more difficult. The ice cream sandwich look is something that you'll either love or hate, but I have to admit, it definitely has grown on me. And I'm really glad that Sony was able to take a risk by making it not only look different, but also making it much more customizable. The PS5 had 2 buttons for the eject and power instead of the touch sensors, and there was no lag whatsoever. I haven't really used mine as much since I turned off my PS5 and eject games using my controller, but it's really nice to have practical buttons. The PS5's ports are much more reliable than the Series X as well. Right here, you have the USB-C and USB-A option, so if there's a case where you do lose your charger, as long as you have the USB-C plug, it doesn't really matter what's on the other end. Now, if you're someone who doesn't really like the white wing plates that come with the PS5 or yours have gotten very dirty, you do have the option to make your PS5 look brand new. Many third-party companies offer really cool plates that are cheaper than Sony's official PS5 plates, and you can also get cool wingless plates from a company like Dbrand. And you even have the option to change the texture of the glossy front strip and make them matte like mine. And you can even change the color of the light strips, which takes customization even further. Changing plates is still very easy. All you have to do is lift up and push down, which makes customizing my PS5 that much easier. And now looking at the front, there's the effective ventilation system along with the disk drive, and I found myself having to clean the ventilation system every few months since it can rack up a lot of dust every time. And the only problems that I had with the PS5 design is only with the original version. I didn't like the fact that the middle was glossy, so it was prone to scratches and fingerprints. And I didn't like the fact that it was really big and the wingtips took up a significant amount of space. But again, these problems can be fixed with customization, so I really can't call either a major problem. The size can vary since the PS5 without the wing plates can still result in me having to try my best to fit it in smaller spaces like my room or even my entertainment center. I wanted to have it sit down, but it either didn't look right or was too big, so I installed my wingless plates and it made it look less awkward. Now, looking at the design of the Xbox Series X, the look is completely different from the PS5. Instead of the curves and removable parts, you have the very boxy, solid, and uniform looking box that looks really good in my opinion, since it's basically on the opposite end of the spectrum. The simplicity definitely benefits the Series X since it requires less maintenance. I didn't have to take anything off since its design is very simple, and I didn't have to really customize it since it's matte and I love the color black. It made placing it so much easier because the ventilation is at the top, so if you lay it flat or have it standing up, you'll be able to get good ventilation. Also, it was the perfect size, so I could put it anywhere as long as it was good ventilation for it to breathe, of course. The matte material still has great benefits, as you can see. There was little to no scratches, it's much easier to clean, and I didn't have to pay extra money since it came with this material. And now when it comes to buttons and ports, the Series X only has 3 different buttons, including the Xbox symbol power button, the eject button for discs, and the controller connection button that connects your controller to your Xbox. The eject tray was very minimal yet discreet, and I think that pretty much summarizes everything about the look of the Series X, which can either be a turnoff or very intriguing. Now, something that still bothers me till this day is the fact that the Series X didn't have 2 ports like the PS5, and most importantly, the fact that they didn't have a USB-C port. I really hated this since my favorite charger to use is USB-C to USB-C. I use this cord for all of my gaming devices, and I couldn't use it since my Xbox is still using USB-A, which was very disappointing. But again, I love the discreet look that it offered, so if you are considering getting something that is very discreet, easy to clean, and simple, the Xbox definitely fits your style. But if you like a more unique looking console that is more focused around customization, the PS5 will fit that style. Now, moving on to the home screen of both consoles, I think that when it comes to looks, I'll go with the PS5 because it's the one console that actually looks next gen. And even though the Xbox is trying to make changes, it still feels very bland in comparison, especially since the PS5's home screen feels more detailed. On the PS5, whenever I scroll through different apps and games, the entire background changes to match the theme, which looks really good and is very intuitive. And with the Xbox Series X, it basically looks like I'm scrolling through a Windows computer with a controller. The background now changes and and looks nice, but it can be bland in comparison to the PS5. And also one thing that I did realize is that sometimes it doesn't work. And even when I'm scrolling through the interface, the PS5 felt more smooth and responsive. After 3 years of use, I've gotten more used to it, and booting up my PS5, the home screen popping up, and picking which game to play feels much more refreshing. Now getting into quick menus, 3 years later, everything still operates the same. If you want to access the quick menu on your PS5, all you have to do is press the home button and a good amount of options will come up. And now that I'm used to the PS5's quick menu, it's easily better when it comes to looks and options, since not only were there more options in the first place, but most of my friends are on PS5, so I was able to use more of the communication features. And when it came to the Series X, everything was laid out very well, very easy, and every single option was very straightforward. I could scroll through each menu with the click of a button, and everything was labeled, but most of my friends aren't on the Xbox, so I explored it much less. And there are some things that I still prefer when it came to the Xbox, but something that I still prefer when it comes to the Xbox is that it's much more customizable. Like right here, you can see that I'm able to change the background and tiles to any color that I want. You can also put any picture you want, but I wish Xbox had better official backgrounds because they either come off as dull or can be really basic. And with the PS5, it's already customized for you, and over time, I've come to like its interactive look more because it keeps my eyes glued to the screen. And now this can be a good and bad thing for both consoles, because with the Xbox Series X, there are many people who like the simplicity and the fact that you can do both. But with the PS5, it can be a bit too much at times. Like I remember when I first bought it and I used the interface, there were so many options and extra steps to do little tasks, and that made me feel overwhelmed at times. So if you're someone who likes a nice simple interface that doesn't require much change, the Series X is for you. And if you want an interface that is very unique that will take some time getting used to, the PS5 is for you. Now moving on to my favorite part about each console, the DualSense and Series X controller are really good controllers that I had a lot of fun with, but I will admit that I liked one much more than the other. Both controllers are really good, and I feel like the major differences between them came in the form of different features. The DualSense has that very futuristic aesthetic, and something that I appreciated was how it looks really good with damn near any color, which kind of makes the design timeless. Its clear buttons have a good press that are very durable. It has a mic that can let you hear out of and speak with your friends. It has motion controls that is compatible with many exclusive and non-exclusive games. It has the unique adaptive triggers that increase resistance based on in-game situations, and it has a touchpad that allows you to not only slide your finger across as if it's a laptop, but it's also a functional button that you can use in-game. And last but not least, it has that PS4 signature light bar that tells you which account you're on. And now looking at the Xbox Series X controller, everything was pretty much the exact same as the Xbox One controller, but this one is a little bit more comfortable. It has a smaller size, which helps when you're gaming with big or small hands. On the front, there's the Xbox power button, which looks pretty good. There's the fresher looking D-pad, along with asymmetrical sticks, and the material is more rugged, which counts for better grip. The D-pad looks fine, but over the years, I've noticed that it looks really cheap, which is telling since this controller costs almost as much as the more premium controller. And even though I like both of these controllers, there is a clear winner in my opinion. I could easily go with the DualSense because it offers many more features, and overall, it feels like it's actually worth the price. It has a better build quality, feel, and it even looks better with more colors available. So if you're the type of gamer that feels like the newer features will give you an overall greater experience, then the PS5 is for you. But if you're a gamer that doesn't really care about features and you want a more straightforward, solid controller, then the Xbox Series X is for you. And now when it comes to games, unlike last year where I let you guys decide, this is the year where I can say that the PS5 is definitely better than the Xbox Series X. And since my last time making this video, I have bought and played many PS5 exclusives, and I will say that they have better games and more options in this category. The PS5 has a Spider-Man series, Ratchet & Clank, which is an old game, but I still recommend it because it's that good, Gran Turismo, God of War Ragnarok, Final Fantasy, Ghost of Tsushima, and many more. But when it comes to Xbox exclusives, over the years it's been looking pretty thin. Gears of War and Halo have been on a downturn. Forza is still pretty solid, but can be replaced with Gran Turismo if you decide to get a PS5. And the upcoming Starfield game is very promising, but we'll have to see. And this has been a major problem with Microsoft over the past year. Many Xbox fans have been disappointed with the lack of great exclusives, and I myself am very angry too. You can't just sell a console with great specs and not be able to release exclusive games with it, because at the end of the day, the games are what makes the console. Also, if you aren't someone who just straight up buys games at $70 a pop, you have the option to sign up for the PlayStation 5's PlayStation Plus, or you can get the Xbox Series X's Game Pass. And basically, both of these subscriptions allow you to play hundreds of games via stream or download. So if you're on your PS5 or Xbox and you don't have Spider-Man or Gears 5, you can play it without having to pay for it in full. And even though this idea is cool in retrospect, I think that both the PS Plus and Xbox Game Pass are both really good. But again, this year is very different since I will be giving the edge to PS Plus. The games are better, and again, the lack of exclusives is really killing the Xbox. With PlayStation Plus, you have 3 different types of subscriptions where you can play PS3 games and newer titles, which is cool. But all in all, it comes down to preference because both are really good. Now, the final thing that I wanted to touch on when it came to the PS5 and Xbox Series X was graphics and load times. Now, starting with load times, I didn't really notice any difference, but the Xbox Series X has a feature called Quick Resume. And Quick Resume is a feature where you can jump between games without having to save or close them. Like for example, I can switch between 3 different games and it will go to the exact point of where I left off at, which means that I can play many different games without having to restart the app. And this is something that I would use very frequently. Changing games was very fast and it really helped when I couldn't decide on what game to play. And now when it comes to graphics, both of these consoles are extremely identical. They both had realistic shadows that added a depth of realism, and they both were very immersive and gave me so much enjoyment when playing. So if these two categories combine, I will give it to Xbox Series X because of Quick Resume. But if you do want to get the ultimate immersive experience visually, then either one will satisfy your needs. So here's the final question. Which console is better, the PS5 or the Xbox Series X? Well, if I'm being honest, the PS5 is better. And I say that the PS5 is better because at the end of the day, the best thing about a console is its games, and the PS5 is just much better in this category. And mind you, I'm not a Sony fanboy, but I will admit that I've had so much fun with the exclusives. I also really fell in love with how great the controller feels in my hand, and to me, the PS5 just gave me a much more fun experience. And even though I say that the PS5 is a better console, I still really love the Xbox Series X because it's a really fun console as well. But as time goes on, I'm afraid that if Microsoft doesn't take the Xbox more serious, it might get left in the dust. But let me know down in the comments, do you think that the Series X is better, or do you think that the PS5 is better? Let me know. And again, I want to thank you guys for watching today's video, and I'm gonna see you guys on the next one. Peace.